and welcome to my kitchen. As you can see from the intro, today's going to be a dinner preparation. So I'm going to be preparing some Australian lamb chops. I have 4. And I'm also going to prepare some Australian lamb leg steaks. Okay? I have some Lima beans that are already cooking, and I also have some peas that are cooking. These peas are peas from 2023's garden that were picked, shelled by hand, cleaned, washed by hand, pie boiled, and they were stored in Ziploc bags in the freezer. I pulled them out and I have my water boiling. Actually, I'm doing it in broth. These are going to be prepared in a chicken broth, and I allowed it to come to a boil, then I added my beans to it. So I have turkey, smoked turkey wings as the meat that's in the chicken broth that's boiling. As far as seasoning them, I'm only going to add some garden vegetable seasoning to both the peas as well as some lima beans. And you can add to taste. I'm just going to add roughly about a teaspoon. And also I'm going to add my favorite Flavor Mate garlic herb seasoning to each one. And then I'm just going to stir it to mix. Okay, that's for the peas. I'm going to place the lid on the peas, and I'm going to allow them to boil. Since they've been pie boiled for about 15 to 20 minutes before freezing them, it doesn't take long to cook them, usually about 45 minutes. The same thing for the beans. These were picked, shelled, cleaned, washed, and pie boiled for 15 to 20 minutes, stored in a quart Ziploc bag, and frozen through the winter. So I'm going to stir these, and I'm also going to place the lid on these, and I'm going to allow them to boil. Alright? And I'm going to place you on a brief pause. Alright guys, I had to turn the TV down. I know you don't want to hear that noise in the background. Alright, so now for the corn. As you can see, it was corn that needed to be shucked. So I have shucked the corn, I've removed the silk from the corn, I've washed the corn in cold water, and I've cooked the ends of it off, and now I'm ready to place it in my pot. So I have my water on. Depending on the number of ears of corn that you're going to cook, you want the water level to be above your corn. Just like when you're cooking your beans, you want it to be, I have a quart bag, so usually about 2.5 cups of water. As long as the water level is above the top of the beans, and then you want to cook them on medium, and the same with the corn. Corn doesn't take maybe 5 to 10 minutes to cook. It doesn't take long for corn. So I have water for the corn, and I'm going to place in 2 tablespoons of non-salt butter. That's to my water. I'm going to add pepper. And we like pepper, so I'm just going to open it and sprinkle a little bit in. Right? Sprinkle a lot in. And I'm going to also add my favorite, the Flavor Mate garlic and herb seasoning. I add this to everything. You know, I can't stress it enough how not cooking with salt doesn't make a difference to me, because this seasoning, it is the bomb. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to add a twist to this one. I'm going to add a little bit of the Old Bay seasoning. You can buy the little packet, the sacket, and you can place the sack in it. I only have 6 ears, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little Old Bay seasoning in here, and it's not going to be spicy, but it does give the corn a nice kick, and it has a nice flavor. Okay, so that's the Old Bay. Now I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of whole milk. And this is sweet corn, and it is fresh sweet corn. So I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of whole milk. I'm going to just whisk it around just to make sure everything is mixed well. All right. And now I'm going to add my corn to the mixture. I have 6 ears of corn, and I'm just going to place them in here randomly. And as you can see, they are clean, sealed very well. I was taught by the best. I actually grew up on a farm. We had gardens, my grandparents, my parents. So farming is a plus in our family. It is a great way to live off the land, stay true to who you are, and also be able to provide for your family. So now that I have the fresh corn and the beans are cooking, I'm going to place the lid on my pot, and I'm just going to allow the corn to come to a boil within the mixture that I have, the water, the seasoning, and the butter, along with the milk. And the kick to this is that I've added just, I would say probably a half a teaspoon of Old Bay. Of course, you know, when I'm cooking for my family, I can eyeball when enough is enough, so I don't really have to measure. I've been doing it for so long. All right, so now that I have this boiling, everything is cooking, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, as you know, start with the meat. So I'm going to open the packets, and I'm going to wash the meat in cold water. A lot of people don't wash their meat, and that's fine. You do you. In my kitchen, I wash my meat, all meats. Yes, heat will kill off everything, but water helps too. And I soak these in some like salt water, and then I will, for about 15 minutes, and then I will pull them out. I will pat them dry, and then I'm going to prepare them because I'm going to sear these on top of the stove, and then I'm going to place them in the oven. Now, the first step is to wash them. Okay? So I'm going to place you on a brief pause while I wash the meat, and then I'll pick you back up. Okay, everyone. I have washed the lamb meat in cold water. I have allowed it to drain. I have patted it dry. And now I'm going to season it. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to season it with our favorite seasoning, and I was instructed to make sure that I season it well, and that I'll do. So the first thing that I'm going to do is add the famous black pepper, because we like black pepper, as I've stated before. So I'm just going to add black pepper to it, then I'm going to flip it over on the other side. And make sure that I get black pepper on that side as well. The same thing with the steaks. And these are lamb steaks, they're taken from the leg. I'm going to season them with black pepper as well. And I did remove the fat from the meat, and it wasn't really a lot of fat on it. But for those of you who cook lamb, you know what I'm about to say is true. Lamb is a very flavorful meat. It really doesn't take a lot of seasoning. The fat actually adds more flavor to it, so I wouldn't remove the fat from this particular meat. The next is I'm going to add my garlic and herb seasoning. And I'll just add it to one side, and then add it to my steaks, and then I'll flip everything over and add it to the opposite side. And again, when you're seasoning for the people that you cook for, and you know, you kind of know, like I do, when enough is enough. So usually with this type of meat, it doesn't really take a lot, but I would say about a tablespoon of each seasoning, and you can mix them together, which I sometimes do, and then roll the meat in it and kind of baste it. Now, I usually sometimes do it as a rub, but I have already added butter to all of the meat, just like I did on the previous dinner. I take the butter, and after I pat the meat dry, and I rub it around the meat on both sides so that the seasonings will stick to it or adhere to the meat. Next is going to be some onion powder. This is another favorite. Then I'll flip it over. I will season the other side with some onion powder as well. Then I'll use some garlic powder. Now, two things that lambs like. They like garlic and they like rosemary. And I've already diced and minced up 4 garlic cloves, and I have it ready in my cast iron skillet that I'm going to prepare it in when I sear it. You can never go wrong. If you just put garlic salt and rosemary, you're good. I'm using the rosemary because I'm going to make a gravy from the gravy that the meat produces once I sear it, and I'm going to bake it, and then I'm going to take that gravy, I'm going to add the rosemary to it and a couple of other herbs, and I'm going to make a gravy for it. Now, I'm not saying that what I'm doing is correct. I'm saying what I do is what my family likes. You can go in the kitchen and, you know, play around with recipes, modify them, add, take away, whatever you don't like. Try it the first time, and if it fails, then go back in the kitchen and try it again. That's what recipes are for. R-E-C-I-P-E. R-E means to repeat. There's very few recipes out there that I like the first time, because, you know, we've all acquired a specific taste. I'm going to put a little bit more garlic powder on the steaks. Okay, now the last ingredient, or the last seasoning, is going to be some organic cayenne pepper. Now, I'm not going to add a lot of cayenne pepper. I'm going to be very light and just do a sprinkle of the cayenne pepper. And I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put a light sprinkle on the other side as well. Very light. Instead of using turmeric on the lamb, I'm going to use the cayenne. So that's my seasonings. And I will show you the meat. As you can see, it's well buttered, and the seasoning adheres to the meat very well. It's kind of like a rub when you grill it. They put a rub on the meat, and those are the lamb steaks. So now I'm going to just take the meat, and I'm going to lay it in my wrought iron skillet, which has 4 garlic cloves minced, and I also have some butter in the bottom. And I'm just going to position it. Okay. Now that's going to be for my steaks. Now I need to get my skillet out for my lamb chops. I'm going to prepare those in a wrought iron skillet as well. And I also have some butter and garlic cloves for this skillet. And I just spread it all around the skillet. And then I'll place my lamb chops in. So I have all of the meat in the skillet and ready to sear. I'm gonna wash the butter off my hands right quick. All right, so now I have everything in the skillet ready to turn the eye on. And there's nothing like a good sear on lamb. Now, with lamb meat, I told you it's very flavorful. You can never go wrong. Now, you can cook it rare, medium rare, or you can cook it well done. But just know that if you take the well done route, which is the route I'm going to take, you run a risk of it being a little tough. So you have to be very careful. So with I'm going to do the pork lamb chops first. Now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sear these on both sides. And you have to sear them for medium rare. It's like 4 minutes on each side. But I want well, so I'm going to push the limit. I'm going to do 5 on each side. And it also has to do with the thickness of the meat. If it's about 2 centimeters, which is what mine is, it's usually, because these aren't the thin ones, these are thick, so are the steaks, as you can see. So I'm going to sear these in my cast iron pan with garlic cloves and butter, already seasoned, for 5 minutes on each side. So I do 5, and then I flip it on the other side, and I do 5. With the lamb chops, and these are the ones that come from the leg, they are a little thick, and I'm going to do the same with these. These are going to be pan seared as well. I'm going to do 3 minutes on one side, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do 2 minutes on the opposite side. Okay? So I'm going to put you on hold while this sears. Alright guys, the first side is seared well, so I'm going to turn the meat over and let the other side sear. Remember, you sear it based on the thickness. Recommended is usually about, for the lamb chops, it's about 4 minutes on each side. For medium rare, I'm really not a medium rare person, so I don't mind like somewhat well done. So I'm going to stretch it and do 5, but I have it on medium heat. And the steaks, I'm going to do 3 minutes on one side and 2 minutes on the opposite side. They're not ready to turn over quite yet. I just put those on actually before I click so you guys should join me. Alright, so now while it's searing on the opposite side, I have some fresh rosemary, and I'm just gonna pull it off the leaves, off the stem I should say. And if those of you are wondering if I baked anything, yes I have. I baked a cake for a client earlier. It wasn't a new bake, it was a 5-flavor pound cake request. And it came out of the oven right before I started preparing this. So with the rosemary, I'll just pull it off, and again, this is fresh rosemary. And I'm going to use this once the meat is ready and it makes its own gravy. I'm going to add the rosemary. I'm just going to chop it up real fine. I'm also going to add some onions and some bell peppers to it as well. But you know, you really don't have to do a lot with lamb meat. That's the beauty of it. It has so much flavor. I'm just adding this as an enhancement. And because I have this rosemary, and it's Easter Sunday, and he rose, so I thought it'd be a beautiful combination. Put some lamb meat. He's the shepherd, we're the lamb. And then I'm just going to add some fresh rosemary to it. That's just my analogy. Nothing personal. And I just chop it up. I don't really chop it too fine. I just chop it in half. Alright. And that's it for the rosemary. So now I'm going to pull the onion and the bell pepper out of the refrigerator while this is seared. now it's time to add some aromatics. Right? So I'm not going to put a whole lot, but I am going to cut up some chives. This is the purple onion. And most people use this for salad. I love it. I use it on just about everything that I cook. I find a way to incorporate it into the dish. And with these, I'm not going to cut these up. I'm going to leave these as the rings. So I'm just going to cut them in half. So I have those ready. And I do have my fan on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slice the onion. I'm not going to, this is half the onion. Again, I'm not going to dice it up or mince it. I'm just going to cut it and cut it as a ring and cut the rings in half. Okay, so now my steaks are ready to be turned. They're seared really, really well. All right, so I'm gonna place you on a brief pause while this finishes. All right, I have seared the steaks as well as the lamb chops. I have added all of my aromatics. I've added the red, the yellow, the green bell peppers, the orange bell peppers. I chopped up some yellow onions, threw some scallions in here. Of course, I'd already added my garlic cloves. I also did the same thing to the steaks. Very pretty, very presentable. I added the same aromatics. Now I'm ready to add water to these, and I'm going to add them to the oven for a brief moment. And I also have my fresh rosemary chopped, and I'm going to just sprinkle it in as well, because the lambs, it has a very flavorful meat. It makes a very, very rich gravy, just like the oxtails that I cooked a couple of weeks ago. As you can see in the pan with the steak, you can see in the corner, right at the front where the little loop is, you have the gravy already started. All right? So now, just run some cold water. I'm not going to add too much. Just enough to lightly cover the top of the meat. Not a lot. And I must say, it smells so good. So now I'm ready to place it in the oven. I've already preset my oven temperature to 350. I don't like for my meat to cook too fast. If it was like chicken or something, it'd probably be like 300 or 325. But for steaks or any red meat like lamb, I'm going to cook it at 350. All right. So I'm just going to place it in the oven. And I'm just going to allow it to cook. I'll watch it. I'll check on it in like 15-minute increments until the gravy is the thickness that I would like it to be. And then I will pull it out. Now, a lot of you are going to post a comment, oh, you cooking lamb that was raised in Australia? Yes. I went to 4 stores, and only one of those 4 stores had lamb. Lamb chops or lamb steaks. Those were the only choices. Now, I passed that store up first because it was the first store I went to, and I didn't buy the meat. I went to the 3 other stores close to me, and neither of those 3 stores had lamb or veal. So I went back to the first store, which was my local Winn-Dixie, and I purchased the meat there. I purchased what was readily available in my area. Okay. So please don't post a comment about meat that's raised in the USA. I always try to buy meat that was farm raised. Those steaks that I cooked, the Black Angus on the previous video, they were from foreign farms. They were raised in the USA, farm raised. I always try to pay close attention to the meats that I purchase. It's not all the time that we're doing meat, but this is a holiday, so again, I aim to please, so I'm going to prepare a meat dish. So the beans are cooking. They're done. The lima beans are, I just have them on low. The peas are done. I have them cooking on low, and the corn is also done. So the only thing left is going to be the lamb. And I'm debating on if I'm going to fix some cornbread muffins or if I'll fix a pan of cornbread. I'll make my mind up between now and the time that the lamb comes out of the stove, because of course the bread has to go in the stove. Okay? It has to cook in the oven as well. Alright, so that's going to be it for right now. I'm going to share something with you right quick. I am still baking. This is a cake that I baked today. This is the 5 flavor pound cake that I gave a demo of on a previous video at Cassie's Kitchen Creations. So no need to video another one. Usually people request some of the same cakes that they're used to me making all the time. And this is a favorite. So I baked this today for a client. And of course I baked a lemon sour cream pound cake for myself and my family. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to place you on a brief pause, and I'll be right back with you as soon as the meat is ready to come out of the oven. Or if I decide that I'm going to fix some cornbread muffins, and I'm going to make those from scratch as well, I'll pick you back up if I make my mind up between now and time for the meat to come out of the oven. Stay tuned. I just checked the meat and it is doing well. This is my first check. It's not ready, of course, but it is getting to that point. So I'll check it again in another 15 to 30 minutes and see if it's where I need it to be. If anyone is interested in the broth that I use to cook my vegetables in, I use the Swanson chicken broth, and this is the unsalted. Okay, this is the chicken broth that I use, because I know some people say, because we have haters on YouTube, oh, all those ingredients, some of those have salt. I make sure I read my labels. I am a chemist by academia, and I do teach chemistry, so I know how to read labels. I know what the ingredients are. Even if they try to bypass it, I know the name. So I make sure that everything that I buy is unsalted, that I use to cook with, because I do not cook with salt unless it is a request for something that I'm not going to eat or partake in. I will add salt to satisfy my family. So anything that is cooked in my kitchen, they know that it is salt free. Okay, and most of the time there's no meats, but I have been cooking, like I cooked oxtails, I cooked someone wanted some bacon, I cooked some pork bacon, which I don't eat pork bacon, I do turkey bacon, and then today I'm doing the lamb chops for our Easter dinner. So this is what I use to cook all of my vegetables in. I do pie boil them in water first, and I pour the water off because most of the vegetables that I have are frozen from last summer. They were preserved for the winter months, spring months, whenever you consume them all. So I pie boil them again, and then I will transfer that water off of them, and I will add my unsalted chicken broth to the vegetables, and then I will allow them to cook. Of course, everything is ready except for the lamb chops. And I have decided I'm not going to prepare any cornbread muffins, because I have enough left from yesterday that I can actually just heat and use if anyone would like to partake of them. No need to throw anything away. All right. So I will catch you when the meat is time to come out of the oven. Hello everyone. I've taken the meat out of the oven, and it is ready. As you can see, it has a very nice and very thick, very rich gravy. That's the lamb chops. And then here we have the steaks. Now, After I have taken this out of the oven, I have set it on air fry at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to air fry some okra, which is my favorite. Sometimes I fry it on top of the stove. Sometimes I put it in the oven and air fry it. So I'm going to air fry this. It takes about 10 minutes. And I'll place it in the oven, and I'll pick you up in 10 minutes. Okay, the okra is done. I just air fried it. It came out evenly cooked. So I'll just place it here. As you can see, my Easter dinner is ready. Lima beans, fresh corn on the cob, sweet corn, purple whole peas. These are the lamb steaks taken from the leg with a thick gravy. Some corn bread muffins that I had from yesterday's cook. These are the lamb chops, and then of course the okra. So everything turned out really well, and it's ready to be served. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming along for my cook of Sunday dinner in my house. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. My name is Cassandra. I am the chef behind Cassie's Kitchen Creations. As far as the lamb chops, I will say that I did put a twist on a recipe that I've cooked before. Usually after I sear them, I take them and out of the pan and I add 2 cups of beef broth, 3 tablespoons of flour, 1 tablespoon of rosemary, and then I make the gravy and add the meat back to it. Today I decided to sear the meat, and then I put a spin on it. I decided to add, instead of beef broth, I added a cup of water, cup and a half maybe of water to each one. I added my rosemary and all of my other seasoning, bell peppers to it, onions. I placed it in the oven. And then after 30 minutes to an hour, the gravy started to thicken. So I then added my flour. I took a little bit of the gravy out, added 3 tablespoons of flour, and then I added it back to the meat and placed it back in the oven. And so that's why it got really, really thick. It was thick at first, but I wanted it just a little bit thicker, a little richer. And also, I added the flour, and it helps to cut some of the spiciness and also some of the rosemary. I could see the oil sitting on top. Then I just added the flour, and it kind of cut it in half. So it has a real. I've tasted it. It has a really good flavor. That's just another way to do it. As I said, it's not saying that what I'm doing is correct. It's what I do is satisfying to my family. Usually searing it, you always want to make sure that you do it based on the cut of the meat, whether you have lamb chops, whether you have the 4-quarter, or if you have the steaks. So each one sears differently, and it has a different searing time. Lamb chops is and 4-quarters is like 4 minutes on each side for medium rare, which is what they recommend for lamb meat. It is very rich, very moist meat. With the lamb chops, you really don't run the risk really bad of like really drying it out, but you can overcook it. That's why I said I only do 5 minutes on each side, and then I placed it in the oven. I knew it was going in the oven to finish. And also adding the water or the beef broth to it helps to retain the moisture and keeps the meat, from being like stringy and tough. Now with the steaks coming from the legs, you have to be careful. You must sear them 3 minutes on one side and 2 minutes on the opposite side. And then again, I added the water to this, or you can add the beef broth. I usually do beef broth right after the sear, create the gravy, and that's it. Today I wanted to do something different to see if it would turn out better, hopefully not worse. And I've tasted it, and it seems to be very good. And it's a lot more moist than just doing it right after the sear. So with the steaks, again, 3 minutes on one side, 2 minutes on the opposite. And then I placed it in the oven as well in water, and then added the peppers, bell peppers, and onions, scallions, fresh green peppers, and also rosemary. Then after it had created the gravy, I then took some of that gravy out, added 3 tablespoons of flour to it, mixed it up really, really good, and made it creamy, and then added it back to the skillet and placed it back in the oven. Again, so it could get thick. And the steaks aren't tough either. They're very tender. I've tasted those as well. All right. So this again is my Sunday dinner that I will be preparing for my family. You will go in your kitchen and prepare something, a masterpiece as well for yours. Thank you again for coming along for the cook. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. So that as soon as I upload a notification, and you click that notification bell and then click all, you'll get all the uploads as soon as I upload them. Also, if you haven't clicked like, please click the thumb up. That says the like. That says that something that I'm doing in my kitchen is edifying to you and your family and your kitchen, and that way it'll be shared with other viewers on YouTube. Okay? So please like, subscribe, and if you have a positive comment or a negative comment, please leave it in the comment section below. I prefer the positive because I just totally overlook the negatives, because negatives will stroll through YouTube and find many other channels, and they will also have something negative to say. That's just some people's nature. Okay? So I prefer the positive comments, and those are the ones that I entertain, and those are the ones that I respond to. All right? Again, this is my kitchen. I am Cassie. I am the chef behind the masterpieces of Cassie's Kitchen Creation. And as I say in every video, I cook to satisfy the people I serve. In your kitchen, you do the same. I will catch you on the next one.